Internet council.
Oh, right, yes, don't know.
Right. Welcome everyone to our November meeting of the West Wimmera Shire. David, if you could please read the acknowledgement and the prayer, if everyone could please stand.
The West Wimmera Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly ask your blessing upon this council, guide and prosper our decisions to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of West Wimmera Shire. Amen.
Have any apologies?
None, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any leave of absence? Do we have any conflicts of interest from anyone from any items on the agenda?
I leave them confidential.
You may, that is a separate agenda, but if you just want to say that you do have two conflicts on the confidential item, that'll be fine.
Okay, well, yes, two items on the confidential. I think it was 18.1 and 18.4 relating to both the Garrote Rec Reserve and the Apsley Rec Reserve lighting projects.
Thank you. We'll now move to item 5, questions from the gallery. It doesn't look like we have a gallery, so we'll move over that item. Move to item 5.2. Written questions. Have we received any written questions? Move then to item 6, the delegates report. Again, another busy month for myself. Probably the highlight of my month was the annual Timber Towns Victoria tour and AGM in Sale, and it was absolutely fascinating, that tour. We got to visit a number of timber mills and see a lot of fantastic products that are still being produced, but we also got to see firsthand the impact of the state government's decisions to close down the native timber industry and the impacts it was having on those towns over there. And the lack of support that the government's been given them was actually really, really frustrating and really disappointing. Again, people might say, what's West Wimmera got to do? We do have quite a number of timber plantations in our shire. We are a part of this group because this group does amazing good work highlighting how much the timber industry is worth to the state and how much funding should come back in return, especially to our roads that these big timber trucks certainly rip up. So again, it's an important part that we're a part of this. The chair of the group was actually absent, so I had to chair the week, which was okay. It was good fun, and yeah, they are a really good group of councils who are involved in that as well. So we hope to continue to support their good work. We also had the seniors concerts where Les Milliken was named our Senior Citizen of the Year, and again, it's been an absolute privilege to see Les, all the work that he's put in over the years. And following on from that, I did go out to Surbiton on Sunday to go and see the community had a little get together for the opening of the solo art project out there. And Les gave me a personal tour of the station, which is probably about the 10th time he's done that for me. So, but the solo art out there looks amazing. And again, it tells a fantastic story of that disputed territory. When you get to know the Surbiton community, you know, we really are glad that they are in our shire and they can get sent back over to South Australia. So, and you don't often hear me say nice things about Leal people. So, but we really are thankful for what they do out there. So well done to everyone who's been involved in that project. And the rest we can take as read. Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, so I've actually got it's been an extremely busy month. Did want to do a bit of a shout out to the Parks and Gardens staff because a while ago they did quite a bit of time into trimming things like bushes and vines and it's looking amazing now, and you can sort of like see the value of that. So the towns do look really good. Also want to do the neighbourhood house. I actually called in there. They have got they've just given that to me before, keep our doors open. You go into the neighbourhood house, fill it out and just help them get that funding, keep that funding up. The called in there, they've got Christy, I think she's from the Philippines. She's doing these cooking classes. Honestly, the diversity of the people that were attending is fantastic. And, you know, like I saw, there's people who hardly speak any English. There is people with disability there. There is, you know, long-standing locals, new residents, and then, you know, the garden group where they're doing little walks. So it's just neighbourhood house. I just think it's just one of those things that goes really well. Back in 16th of October, I went and did the Bush Bank Walk and Talk at Perone with the Trust for Nature project. I also attended the Rural Women's Day, which was a great project. That was like look over the farm gate, but it would have been really good to have seen one of those, one run for the north of the Shire and one run for the south of the Shire, because it was excellent. But I didn't see a great deal of West Wimmera people there. As you said, the seniors concert was excellent with Les Millican. And that was good to see. We had all the West Wimmera people, we had Bordertown people, Nil people, Horsham people. It just attracted a really wide range of demographic. I had the Women Leading Locally reunion in Melbourne. There was 125 women that did that program initially. 40 of us stood for council, 25 of us got in. So interesting stats. And there was 8 of us plus the 2 leaders that actually caught up for lunch, and we, you know, compared stories. So that has been a great program. I attended the Landcare AGM along with Councillor Richard Hicks. That group it's, you know, just nicely ticking along. They're definitely open to new ideas. They do the tree planting, and they're doing a lot of the mental health stuff too. It is International Men's Day as well, because I noticed that they ran that whole Warren Davis project. So I also attended in Nil Chopin's last tour, and I had a very interesting, Chopin's last, whatever it was called. But the guy is a pianist. He does a one-man show, and he's from Griffiths in New South Wales. And I had a chat to him afterwards. And just building on Tom's idea of like halls and the running costs and all of this sort of stuff. So I asked him, I said, so how come you chose Nil? And he goes, well, literally, I Googled it. So I just think, and the Horsham Hall is constantly fully booked. And so I'm thinking we've got the Edenhope one, which has got all that multimedia stuff. We've got the Coniva one, which is beautiful halls, beautiful settings, beautiful aesthetics. And the nice piano. And I just think we need to be, our website needs to be fully, you know, content rich, so that we're actually appearing in those Google searches, particularly with things like AI coming on board, because now people are using ChatGPT to go give me a list of all of the upcoming, you know, all halls within Victoria, you know, which might be under a certain budget. So there's an opportunity to do something there. Same with Hindmarsh Shire. I mean, their website has a mobile-friendly inquiry form that you can inquire to use that hall. And also just building on Tom's idea of a last meeting, community forums, and, you know, maybe we should be considering, like, you know, 4 a year, but would actually be separate to those council meetings, because they are very well attended. I went to the Remembrance Day service in Apsley, and I'd have to say the congratulations to that community there. I love their idea of just doing the little crosses, and they're just zip tied to the fence. And apparently there's one lady that's doing a lot of the crocheting there, so that looked really brilliant. The councillor catch-ups that I've been doing, I did one in Apsley, Edenhope and Coniva, and I'm always looking for what is the common ground between and the common problems that are being shared. I met up with the writers from Edenhope Artists Residency. They came along to one of those coffee and chats. There was also new residents that came along. But yeah, it's just great to get those other people's perspectives, and then the invites to the other events that might be on, that might fly under the radar, like Edenhope are putting on a little pantomime for senior citizens, Edenhope Senior Citizens. But the thing with it is they are getting bogged down with customer action requests, and that is really because the West Wimmera Shire Council website is really not mobile friendly. So when you're trying to click on that form, you're trying to navigate it through your mobile phone, it's really difficult to actually do. Events. Oh yeah, another common theme that was talked about in very low level conversations was, absolutely would be great to get a music festival, Edenhope Like Kites Festival, Kaniva a Harvest Lifestyle Festival, but it's really trying to know how to move these ideas forward, because ideas are a dime a dozen. But I just wondered whether there may be a webinar or a Zoom meeting or whatever, that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just literally just promoting and going, hey, this is what, if you want to run an event, this is what you could do. And yeah, succession planning is a massive thing as well for a lot of groups. So the Tiny Towns grant is another thing where those, like they would be, all of those communities would love to put in a Tiny Towns type application. Whether or not there is a webinar, because the last thing you want to see with those towns is that you've got multiple projects that are trying to be put forward, and then you've got community group pitted against community group. We also attended, Tim and I attended a mandatory mayoral and deputy training with Hindmarsh Shire and Yarriambiack Shire, and then I had a Australian local government's Zoom meeting, which they are brilliant sessions. Julia Reid was from Victorian Local Government Association Connect. She was on the Connect and YouTube thing. She was absolutely brilliant, but the common theme is it's the greatest need, it's for good governance, it's about strategic oversight, robust debate and democracy. Talked about building positive reputations and relationships with the state government and stakeholders, and that no one wants to work with dysfunctional councils. So just how we really need to be just looking at that reputation. Financial viability, collaboration, transparency, consideration of regional, state and national plans. I mean, I've got pages of notes on all of that sort of stuff. And lastly, I did go to the Edenhope show. It is a very small team. Councillor Tom attended that too. I didn't actually get round it all because I ended up sitting down and having lunch, and ended up sitting next to a guy who he's just living on the outskirts of town in a caravan and just being moved on. So it's just so difficult when you're sitting down and just realizing people don't necessarily want to be living in caravans, but he's literally just got nowhere to go. So yeah, both Tom and I had a bit of a chat to him, but it's just so hard to know what to do. And I didn't get to see the youth officer too, which I really wanted to try and just say hello to. But yes, I think that's about it. I'm sorry it's so long.
That was comprehensive. Thank you, Councillor Hobbs.
It's all right.
Councillor Hicks.
Councillor Hobbs, we're all gasping to death because I think I've used up all the oxygen. Just a couple of things. I also attended the Remembrance Day service here in Kaniva. It was a very modest attendance. Disappointing that no representatives or no kids from the school attended. I think perhaps it's maybe an oversight on the part of the schools that they're not supporting these very important commemorative activities. And maybe they'll take note and send some kids along next year. And the other thing is, as we've mentioned around the table, it's International Men's Day today. So it's a day for the blokes, finally. And it's really dedicated to recognising the contributions and challenges faced by men in society. And the theme for this year is supporting men and boys, which I think is a very worthy concept to focus on. We hear a lot about stress in society. Councillor Hobbs, you've just highlighted that with one of your experiences with a bloke who's been living in the caravan that's perhaps not of his, perhaps wasn't of his first choice. I think we need to realise that there's a lot of guys out there in particular that are struggling these days. And this is an opportunity with International Men's Day to recognise that. Otherwise, as listed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Councillor Pretlove.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so I went along to the seniors concert on the 30th at Apsley, and that was a wonderful day. I think we, as council, provided a wonderful month for our seniors. We had quite a bit going on from one end to the other. I think there would have been about 80 in attendance. The Apsley Primary School students, led by Tanya Turner. Yeah, Tanya Turner. They did the catering and did a really good job. So I think everyone really did enjoy that day. They enjoyed Kevin Spora. Remembrance Day, I went to Edenhope. Both schools were there represented, and they both sang the national anthem, which was really good. It was lovely to see. Probably about 40 people, I'd say, David, would have been there. So that was good to be at. It has been a big month, something that Councillor Hobbs didn't mention. We've reappointed
Injection of oxygen.
reappointed our CEO for another 5 years. So congratulations to David. And also Tim is our mayor again for another 12 months. So congratulations to Tim, and to Helen, our new deputy mayor. So congratulations to Helen. Helen mentioned about the towns and what's going on with the towns. Well, also I think it's good to mention the mowing on our roadsides. That's all underway, and that's all looking really good. Some of our blind corners are now we can see. And congratulations to Les Millikins of Serviceton, our Senior Citizen of the Year. I'm sure he's only going to get busier now with the solo art out there. That looks great. I'm sure most people have seen that on social media. And I guess it's probably maybe to mention that we have had our cemetery trust meeting this morning, and look, it's a good meeting, but as we've, there's probably a few things that we probably will need to just communicate with our communities, so that these our cemeteries and the what council here represent and what we make decisions for, so that we're all on the same page, and that it smoothly moves forward, so that we can keep these particular cemeteries looked after and well maintained, and to continue to do, to be the place that they are for our families.
Keep
in
the
the
bones
future.
happy.
Yes, that's it, Richard. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pritlove. Councillor Houlihan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to David, Tim and Helen on their election, their meeting last week before. Well done. I, over the last month, have been to the 3 shows at Goroke, Caniva and Edenhope. Just one thing in common about the 3 of them. I'd like to publicly advertise this. The volunteers that run our agricultural shows do a sensational job. Just the hours that go into preparing that bunch of flowers or the plate of scones. I admire people that do that. It's something that I would find difficult to do. So our 3 shows, I went to another show down south during that period too, and just have a look to see where we're at. And I'm saying to you, we're holding our own. The Quick Shear Pavilion in Edenhope, it's 5-stander. I'm going to say to you, it's one of the best quick shear pavilions in Victoria, if not Australia, if not the world. It's magnificent. Plenty of viewing areas, a grandstand that you can get into. So well done to the show committees. Just one other thing I'd like to make mention of. Farmers just north of us are doing it tough at the moment. Got their own titles, own their own land. But at the moment, there's mining companies queuing up to get on their farms. We've been trying for 8 years to get water here so McDonald's can have meat. We can't get a pipeline, but yet, as soon as you mention these small minerals, the government just steps in. There's a water pipeline there. I don't know what it's going to take. But this is a terrible thing to say, but it's the truth. It might be a good thing when they line up in Melbourne one morning and head down to McDonald's and there's no hamburgers there because there's no meat. And that's the direction we're being taken at the moment. There's just no support. As I said, 8 years we've been trying to get a pipeline here for water for our stock. And we'll find out this year too if we are unfortunate enough to have a fire, water for firefighting, because I can tell you down south we're very limited in our water, in dams, swamps, sort of thing, and we badly need the pipeline for fighting fires too. Anyway, all right, thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank the subject a bit there.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. And just quickly to say thank you to my fellow councillors for their support. And I'd like to thank Councillor Pretwell for the previous 12 months and her support, and the way that she conducted herself was fantastic. And I'm looking forward to working with Helen for the next 12 months as well. And it really it's going to be a positive thing. So thank you, and well done to David as well for your reappointment as well. So there you go. Okay, we'll keep moving then. Item 7, condolences. I believe we have none. Item 8, we have 3 items of previous minutes. If someone would like to move them en bloc.
Moved.
That is moved by Councillor Hicks. Seconded by Councillor Pretlove. If there's no discussion required, we'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. We have no business arising. We have received no notice of motion. We have no council forum record. We have no deputations. We have no CEO report. We'll move to item 14. Item 14.1, the S6 Instrument of Delegations.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the Western Shire Council has a number of responsibilities under certain legislation. The Instrument of Delegations delegates the responsibilities to fulfil the requirements within that legislation to the council officers as per the report. So the report's attached. Yeah, that's pretty simple. If there's any questions.
Are there any questions?
I'm happy to move that council, number 1, council adopts the attached S6 instruments of delegation, and number 2, authorise the council seal to be affixed to the S6 instruments of delegation.
Seconded by Councillor Pretlove. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, thank you very much. It's a rather a bureaucratic process, important but bureaucratic.
Seconder wish to speak?
No, thank you.
There's no further speakers. We'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. We'll move to item 14.2, support for public art policy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So Western Shire Council has a number of public art installations, and the Western Shire Council recognises the significant role that public art plays in celebrating community and identity. The public art policy sets a framework around the public art and how that will be installed, maintained, insured. The policy against the draft policy is attached for the council's view. there's any questions.
Any questions?
Just a clarification, the recommendation says adopts the attached policy. Should we say adopt the policy dated? So it's a standalone resolution.
Adopts the support for public art policy dated the
Today,
19th of November 2025.
Just a question, was there a reason why the fish wasn't included in this as part of the art policy?
As in specifically mentioned within the policy, or?
It said it excludes the fish at Edenhope. I can't remember where I read that now. It also said it excludes honour boards.
Yeah.
It might have been in one of the briefs or.
The public art, I've never seen that before.
You can't remember that?
No.
No, it's not in the actual policy. I thought I saw it read.
Yeah, look, it
put
says
somewhere
in here anyway in the background, Helen.
Yes. What does it say?
About excluding from the scope of this policy.
Yeah.
So we've got
That's
the
right.
honour boards and the
And the fish, that was the bit that I was looking
Yeah,
for. Thank you.
We can't ask.
Yeah. No.
No, I would say no, isn't, no, that's because they're the honour boards. This is the support for public policy. So they're owned by council, the honour boards. They would be council
Yeah, no, I
assets.
definitely get the honour boards.
Yeah,
I was just
fish
wondering.
board.
the fish board.
Sorry, I'll just read it out.
Yeah.
Council-owned artworks such as the honour boards in the Edenhope Council office foyer, paintings located in various council offices, the Melbourne 2006 Commonwealth Games Big Guy Scad Fish sculpture and council-owned war memorials are currently excluded. They're not excluded in the new policy.
Yeah, okay.
So
they're not.
Previously received.
in the new one, they're now covered.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Because the fish is a council owned. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And it would be public art.
that's
It
right.
is
So,
public scrap metal
From the
for
existing.
some people.
I think in the old policy, there was some confusion as to the ownership of that. The ice skate. Depends on who you talk to. So that's not excluded anymore. It's in there.
Yeah, excluded from the scope of the existing policy.
so I'm happy to move the officer recommendation there that the council, I can't remember what it,
Council adopts the
Adopts.
support for public art policy dated 19th of November 2025.
yeah, what did Brendan just say?
Yeah, there.
They're saying, yeah, with the date, yeah.
Second,
Second by
25 to
Kipsley.
28.
Does the mover wish to speak?
I do. And I'll try and be quick, but the thing with it is, this is I'm very happy to, support this 100%. It is a massive rewrite on what we did have. And I think it's also the thing with it is when all of these policies keep coming to council, we shouldn't just be necessarily rubber stamping them, but there is an opportunity to look at them and just see if they are fit for purpose. Now, the thing with it is obviously it's also about community wellbeing and mental health. When I walk past those little, the paintings in Edenhope near the toilets, it automatically it makes you feel really good about it. And it is the town pride. You've got the Serviceton that's just been painted. It is the unique stories. Nobody would come through our town and realise there's a whole story about, Wade and White and the border dispute. And, you just see the station and you see the train. So I just think that a lot of these keywords that they've put in there, and I'll just highlight a few of them: civic pride, all linked to mental health, unique landscapes, the stories, the agriculture, the rich history, biodiversity. But this policy is also about decommissioning, because I think the previous policy was very much written around, well, you know, we're happy for art to happen, but you've just got to maintain it forever. But it also talks about best practice guidance, and there's a lot that has been written. So this is like a document that sits there, and then you've got all of those documents that sit underneath it. But it is about enhancing the visitor economy, and public art should be not just about tourism, but it is about local people too. And yes, it's not just about putting art up just for the tourists. It's about making the, you know, residents, you know, giving them something that they actually like too. So that it does also, so 1.2, that it actually includes things like mosaics, digital, interactive installations, guiding principles are really important, place, identity, story, people's, places, culture, history, environment. You see all of this coming all the way through it. Originality, relevance to site work. The governance and legislation alignment is quite interesting because that was put in the last policy. It was missing from the previous one, but it talks about the Creative Victoria Act of 2017. And if you read that sort of document, it says this is a key economic and social sector. It's not nice to have, but it is central to economic and social strategy, and that the government was committing, well, I think it's 288 million. That's how much artwork, you know, sorry, public art, we are missing out on that funding, I feel. The new document is actually the Creative State of 2025, which talks about promoting Victoria as a global creative destination. So it's about thinking about how do we fit not just regionally with the national silo art, because that's what this council's doing. It's commissioned now 3 pieces of artwork of national importance, which is also promoted internationally too. So maintenance is obviously a major one, and the anticipated lifespan. And I think that's fair to say that, you know, you're normally looking at about 10 years maximum. So it's about thinking about what do we do when that becomes, that it needs to be fixed. And then you've got in 7, I just read this part out too. Community members and groups are encouraged to develop ideas collaboratively and seek early advice from council, and that we outline the community contributions to delivery, but again, like lifestyle, maintenance, cleaning. And yeah, and then the last point 13, the aim is about filming in public places. If you look at that, that's a massive document in itself, but the aim there is to make Victoria globally competitive in film and TV and gaming. So I'm very, very happy to support it. I think it's brilliant, and it's a really, really good starting point.
Second, wish to speak.
Really, I think Helen's rather left me gasping for a space in which one might make an appropriate comment, so I'll pass.
Anyone else wish to speak? No speakers, then we'll put it to the vote. All in favour? That is carried. 14.3, non-council owned community hall grants.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The non-council owned community hall grant is one of the grants that we at the West Wimmera Shire Council have. It is in recognition and to support our volunteers and also our communities that continue to maintain these vital infrastructure. We have received one application at this stage for a grant, and that is from the Connie Werrito Community Centre for a total of $638.61, being for public and products liability insurance. You can see the recommendation there is to accept the grant, and it fits our criteria.
Are there any questions?
I'm happy to move.
Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Fretwell. Mover wish to speak?
Yeah, just briefly, this is another application from a community group that manages and runs the hall. I think it's very important that council provides support where possible for these community groups. And this is one of a number, maybe 7 or 8 so far this year, that we've provided a degree of financial assistance. Particularly important is that these halls have public liability when they run public events, that any mishap in terms of public liability has the appropriate level of insurance cover. And I'm very happy to support this officer recommendation.
There's a second wish to speak.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Just to support Councillor Hicks's comments. But this one here, I think we all know it's come to council, or we've had questions about it a few times, because I'm not going to say it's an isolated case, but it possibly is. Just the way that it's owned, the asset, and the fact that there are rates here because of the land, I think, is privately owned. But a bit like the public art policy, we have all of these policies in place. Council a few years ago put policies in to consistently and fairly support our community groups, and particularly the hall groups. And I think this just, I guess, displays just how those policies are really supporting what we're doing, and we can refer this back and we can support a group like this. Yes, it's not within the rates, that is how the structure is, but it's another way that we can actually support a community group that a hall gets used regularly. They're all volunteers. This is an area that lines up with our policies. It ticks all the boxes in how local government has to work within the Act. And it's a way that we can be consistent with all of our groups. So I have no problem whatsoever with supporting this. I've seen quite a bit really of recent, and just what they've been doing at Conowiriko Hall. The community have been working hard to clean it all up and renovate and whatever they're doing. So I'm sure they'll appreciate this, and happy to support it. Thank you.
I just wish to speak, Councillor Houlihan.
As Jody said, it's just good to see a community volunteer group doing the job they are doing, but getting support back from the West Queensland. Thank you.
I just wish to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to, obviously, support it. But I did get asked this question at the whole coffee and chat, is why can't the council just give out invoices? And why do we have to fill in another form? And it is just because of that whole transparency and fairness and consistency. And that is the reason why.
Within the Act.
Yeah.
Just a move, wish to sum up.
No, thank you very much.
We'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried.
Can I just?
Yeah.
It was actually the councillors that put it this way. There was two options when we first did this grant. One that we would organise the rooms under one banner and get everybody to do it, and that was the easiest one for us. We would have been just providing an invoice, and still has transparency of it all. But that wasn't the outcome of the council meeting about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, when we first put this one on.
It's probably worth noting too that the West Wimmera Shire Council did have to go through, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, fraud and corruption inquiry of sorts. And as daunting as that sounded, it was specifically around our grants program and about that being documented and having policies and processes in place for consistent decision making, make sure conflicts of interest were managed and stuff. And to have it through a policy where a decision comes to council is seen as the best practice guideline to make sure that we are fulfilling those obligations. So as unfortunate as some bureaucratic process and forms and that are, it does mean that decisions are tabled in front of, in a public meeting, and that we are managing our conflicts of interest accordingly.
Thank you for further clarification. Item 15.1, planning permit application PA 1192, construction of 3 dwellings and 6 lot subdivision, Kelly Street, Caniva.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And our goals, we've got Nicole Wern, Manager, Planning and Environment, available online. I'll kick off. So this is an application for a subdivision and development of 6 lots and 3 dwellings at council owned land in Kelly Street, Caniva. there is a recommendation there that it's a council issue a notice to grant a permit. Acknowledge also that there were 3 objections received throughout the process of this planning application. Those objections largely related to loss of view and amenity, loss of informal open space, and the impact on property values. The application, if you like, is a little bit unusual. Council's the applicant and also the regulatory authority. I can assure council it's been done through arm's length approach. So the projects team has applied to our planning team. They work independently of each other and the reports are presented as such. In response to the objections, our planning application consultant acknowledges that there may be a loss of some views. However, no one has a right to a view in perpetuity. Planning scheme does consider if there are views that would be considered significant, and this site is not identified as one of those sites. There's an expectation the land's in a tenantship zone that it would reasonably expect it to be developed at some point. The loss of informal space, again, it's not a planning consideration that council needs to turn its mind to. There are other public spaces available in Kaniva for that purpose. And the loss of property values is also not a relevant planning consideration. I'll also sum up in saying that the application was triggered through an opportunity for council to get funding for worker housing largely. And so that is one of the key drivers of this application, is the ability to build new housing in Kaniva so we can attract key worker accommodation into the town. The funding in this round was unsuccessful. However, we still proceeded with the application, pending perhaps future opportunities in the next 2 to 4 years. And Cole, you want to add any more? Jump in?
No, I don't think so. I think you've summed it up well.
Richard.
I really think the officers should be asked to read out the recommendations. It's only 3.5 pages to Cole. Would you like to do the first 2.5, and maybe Brendan, you can do the last page? Maybe we'll pass over that.
We might say the recommendation is as read.
The recommendation. It is 3.5 pages and it's a very detailed recommendation. And I thank you and your team, Brendan, for preparing this.
Any questions?
I'm happy to move the officer recommendations.
So moved. So am I prepared to second? Seconded by Councillor Hobbs. Does the mover wish to speak?
Yeah, just briefly, I think it's important to realise that this is really not a new project. It's an extension of an existing concept that the council supported 6 or 9 months ago when there were opportunities for funding as part of the overall state and federal government push on improving and increasing housing, particularly in rural and remote areas. Unfortunately, with that application and using and considering this piece of land as part of that overall application, as Brendan has said, we were unsuccessful. What we're doing by discussing this new recommendation is to keep that concept alive, to keep it active, so that when funds into the future become available, we can immediately move, because we already have the required support from council for these pieces of land that will go towards that funding application. I acknowledge that there's been some community objections, but I think the planning department has appropriately considered those objections and has provided appropriate responses on behalf of council. So it is a 3.5 page recommendation, but I think it's an important document that enables council and the community to consider additional and very necessary housing blocks, housing property into the near and medium term future. Thank you.
Second wish to speak?
I think housing has been such a massive issue. It's a massive issue across, you know, like the whole of the state, really. But I can't remember where I read it, you know, because the number one thing that I'm getting from the community members is like, but why can't council just build? We've got so many derelict houses. Why can't they just knock them down and build there? And then there was somewhere else that I read, whether it was this report or another one, there's 66 houses that are presently unoccupied. But the thing with it is none of them are going on the market. They're just like, seem to be landlocked. I think it's actually condemned housing. There's a massive rental shortage. This is a 94-page permit too. And if anyone can go online and Google that, that is publicly available. You read that document and you go, this is an incredibly exciting opportunity. It's about making the use of surplus council-owned land. That's what it is. The MPAA studio, who've written that planning permit, they also managed Hopkins Heights estate in Warrnambool. If you've seen that, that's really excellent. And there's also a mention that Rogerson Street literally is just 150 metres away. So it's, I think the design is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. It's got lovely landscaping and it is going to set a precedent for other nice housing. It's not over the top, but you've got to look at all of both Wimmera Southern Mallee reports too. At the moment, we've got massive shortage. We've got of housing. We've got teachers, nursing, shire staff, farm workers. They want to live in this area, but you know, we're talking about economic development, and we're talking about money absolutely hemorrhaging from this area due to a lack of housing. So I'm very happy to support it. I think that the broader public interest, there's only one option to do. But every single person I have spoken to says this is an exciting development and this is what we need to be doing.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Just briefly, I think it's been covered, but I think this is an opportunity to extract some money in an area where there is money. Obviously, there's incentives or for councils to get on board, so to develop and you know, the housing is quite an issue across the state. So I think we either get on board or we miss out, and you know, and to do that we have to have our ducks in a row so that we are successful or have a far better chance with a next application. So I think that in saying that, it is about future, it is about developing, and we have to think of the majority and the future of West Wimmera. So I will be supporting this for those reasons, and also supporting what Councillor Hicks and Councillor Fox have said. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Just a wish to sum up.
Just very briefly, there is a large document that sits behind these recommendations that has taken a great deal of effort to prepare. It's very comprehensive. It's been very well done, Brendan and your team, in preparing that for us. I think it's an exciting concept, and it positions council now to have a head start in any future funding rounds that may become available. We've got this. We can lodge an application quite without this document. To lodge an application would have been involving quite a lot of drama. Having this document, if it's approved by council, will streamline that process and make any future funding applications much more robust. So there we go.
We'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? As carried. Move on to 15.2, the Domestic Animal Management Plan.
Mr. Mayor, and for this one I will hand over to Nicole because it's the one that she's driven right from further away. Nicole, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, good afternoon. Domestic Animal Management Plan, councils under the Domestic Animals Act are required to produce a new domestic animal management plan by the end of the year following a council election, the year following the council election. And so we have had a look at our previous domestic animal management plan and done some updates, looked at, I guess, what have been our current issues, and completed two lots of community consultation. So a community survey that went out prior to drafting the plan, and then a round of community consultation following the drafting of the plan. And this is bringing the plan now to council for adoption.
Are there any questions?
Oh, I'm happy to move it.
So moved. Is anyone prepared to second? Seconded by councillor Hobbs. No wish to speak?
Well, I think with Tom's approval, I really think we should call this the Betty and Rupert law. Can I get your approval, councillor Houlihan? No, as Nicole said, it's again a requirement of council to prepare and to consider a domestic animal management plan within the first couple of months of a new council. And I think they've done a great job. There's been some alterations to the previous plans and some updates and extra considerations. And I think it's a good policy that I'm hoping my councillors will support.
Second, wish to speak?
No, I think Nicole's put a lot of work into this, and it's really, really good what you've got. It is interesting that out of a 4,006 population of 4,006 people, that the dogs registrations have dropped from 1,026 to 619, and cats are down from 222 to 122. I think it does give a bit of a plan as to things that need to be looked at in the way forward. I know responsible pet ownership is bandied around as a very, overriding term, but it is about animal education and just getting cats desexed, keeping them in at night, picking up after your dog, not putting the dog poo in a dog's poo bag and then just sticking it on the ground and actually putting it in the rubbish bin. And then the barking dog problem, which is common once again across all of our towns.
Anyone else wish to speak? No further speakers. We'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried.
Get the name change passed.
We'll now move to 15.3, the Kaniva Recreation Reserve Strategic Master Plan.
Mr. Mayor, and I think Aaron online, or he's not far away.
There he is.
I'm here. Yep.
Lurking in the background.
So the report is pertaining to the development of a new 10-year strategic master plan for the Kaniva Recreation Reserve. I'll hand over to you, Aaron. I'll talk through the process and any key points in the report to support the recommendation.
All right. So thanks, Brendan. So the Kaniva Recreation Reserve Master Plan, or Strategic Master Plan, was founded on the old 10-year-old probably strategy for the Kaniva and District Social Infrastructure Study. So that study has been outdated, obviously, as it is 10 years out of date, and there are several key changes at the Recreation Reserve that have not followed that policy. So it has been important to refresh that with the community's current priorities, and that is what has led to this document. And that's the document that we're putting forward for recommendation.
Just touch on, it's been to public consultation with sessions in front of the IGA and at Direct Grounds itself. It's been out for further consultation, so it's been through 2 drafts now, I think, of public input.
That's it.
Brendan lost his beanie.
Aaron.
Aaron, I mean.
It's too warm for that at the moment.
I'm surprised you've got hair. I thought that it's obviously grown under the beanie that we haven't been privileged to see in the past.
We have a recommendation. If anyone's prepared to move it,
I'm happy to move it.
it's moved by Councillor Hobbs,
Oh, yes, I'll second it. There we
seconded
go.
by Councillor Hicks. Does the mover wish to speak?
Yeah, I think this is one consultation where I've had a lot of positive feedback from the general public that have been involved with it, and they've all said that they felt that it was genuine consultation, that it was not tokenistic. I think the plans were incredibly exciting. One of the things that was mentioned in one of the sessions that I wasn't privy to was that when Garot put together that major plan, that they ended up with around about $5 million plus of projects out of it. So I understand why you have to do this. It is frustrating. I think it came out of the fact that the hockey club wanted some stuff and the netball club wanted some courts. But it is important, like when you read through that document, and just to highlight some of the things that it talks about, you know, $2 million to do the hockey thing, $2 million to do the netball courts, $2.5 million for change rooms, 3.66 million it's the sports stadium. Like none of that is actually going to happen, but at least it gives you a plan of a way forward that hopefully you can get some of that funding for bits and pieces across 10 years. I think there's a lot of really, really good stuff in the actual report, and definitely recommend people can either pick up the hard copy and have a look at it, or just go and have a look at it online. But it is an excellent report.
Second, wish to speak?
Well, I think it's important to realise that this is a plan, it's a concept, it's an aspirational document that shows how we might like to see the Kaniva Recreation Reserve in 10 years' time. It doesn't mean that we've got funding, it doesn't mean that a lot of these facilities are going to be built, but it gives us an overall concept plan about where we're heading. And from this plan, as Councillor Hobbs has said, we can pick up particular pieces of the overall plan as funding becomes available. For example, for the hockey courts, or for the facility change rooms, or for the netball courts. As various funding streams come online, we can present this document as our overall aspirational concept and request a particular piece of funding to add to the overall jigsaw, to try and complete the jigsaw, which is this concept plan. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Thank you. I just think it's important to also just reiterate really the Councillor Hicks and Councillor Hobbs's comments. I guess in my 10 years on council to date, we didn't have to go through the process that we seem to go through now. So it seems to be we get a better strike rate if we have all our ducks in a row and have a master plan at these reserves to be able to extract any money. It's the I guess a direction that we've been sort of pushed into to know that we have far better success. When I look at this plan, I think jeepers creepers, there's a lot of nice to haves on this. And, you know, I will be very surprised if we in 10 years time look back and it's a absolute, the strike rate's 100%. I doubt that will be, but it's something we have to start with, and every decision or every bit of money now that would be spent, or every application will still come to council. This is just something that gives support when money in a certain area, whether it's for you know, sports facilities as courts or hockey fields, or whether it's, you know, walking paths or car parks or amenities blocks becomes available, we've got something that really will support us to have the best chance. So that is the reason that I am behind this, and it is the direction with all of our reserves really, as we've seen at Garot, to have the best strike rate. So there has been a lot of community consultation, and I'm pleased to have heard what, Councillor Holtz, with the people in the community that you've spoken to that it is well supported, because you wouldn't want to be putting a plan out there that isn't well supported. So I guess with that background knowledge and, understanding that, I don't hesitate in supporting this and hope we get a few of these facilities out of it. So well done, Aaron and team. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? If not, I will just add a couple of quick points as well. I noticed in the report that it names 10 different sports that already use the facility. I can think of a couple that have been missed there as well. Plus, you add in the show, you add in the car show, you add in all these other big events that we have there, weddings and all sorts of functions. And they even just hosted the regional cross-country championships for the school. It is such an important space for this area, for this town. And it's so important that we actually have a master plan. We don't want to keep building things ad hoc there and then saying 5 years later, oh, geez, I wish we built that over there, or geez, we didn't think about that. So that is the reason behind this. This is the guiding document that can help us put the pieces together to keep improving this facility. Again, it is aspirational. It isn't just something people should not get the idea that we're just going to pick this off the shelf next week and start doing everything. This is going to be as available as funding permits and as the community can contribute themselves to these projects. So again, that is what's behind it all. And again, I'm happy to endorse it. And I think hopefully we will get a lot of good results out of it. Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yeah, just briefly, just to say absolutely everything that people have said is completely valid. The only concern that I had was there is stress in the community on their, and this is across the whole of West Wimmera, their ability to actually raise the sort of funds that are actually needed to turn that plan into actions.
Yep. Put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. We have item 16, the ceiling schedule, where we have the Essex Insurance delegation, so that's to be noted, I assume. Noted. I don't believe we have any late items of business. We now move to confidential. We have a recommendation to take us to confidential to deal with the matters of the Groke Recreational Reserve AFL lighting, the Service and Bowling Club facilities upgrade, the Harrow Recreational Reserve scoreboard upgrade, the Apsley Recreational Reserve AFL lighting upgrade, and the Eden Hope Aquatic and Stadium facilities design project.
No, Councillor Pretlock got first. I can see your little finger a microsecond before mine.
Moved by Councillor Pretlove, seconded by Councillor Hicks. If there's no discussion, put the vote. All in favour. That is carried.